Hey guys, well apparently China's biggest AI is now about to hit the scene. So we all know about Deepseek, but apparently Baidu, or Baidao, or however you're supposed to pronounce it, I think it's Baidu, is going to enter into the AI race in China. And apparently they're about to drop a new open source model called Ernie. So we're going to go ahead and cover it in today's video. Let's get right into it. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and look at this article by CNBC, China's biggest public AI drop since DeepSeek, Baidu's open source Ernie, is about to hit the market. So Chinese search giant Baidu, which, by the way, this is basically the Google of China, has said it will make its Ernie generative AI LLM model open source on June 30th. It is a threat to OpenAI, Anthropic, and its own Chinese rival, Deepseek. So I haven't really seen the benchmarks of this model. So this is either going to be something that is, just full disclosure, I haven't seen the benchmarks of this model yet. I don't even know if there are benchmarks of it yet. And even then, since it's not open source, there's not going to be many good benchmarks of it. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see until June 30th when it actually does go out. However, I will say this. As much as it says here in this article that, tech experts are divided, some say it won't be another DeepSeek moment for the U.S. market, while others say that it could cement China's position as the undisputed AI leader. It kind of depends, really. I think DeepSeek, this is just a personal opinion, I think DeepSeek was a matter of right time, right place, because it just so happened to occur during the whole TikTok thing, and a bunch of people, because of the TikTok ban that was going on, were starting to flock to other Chinese products. So I think it was a matter of right time, right place, because as the US was prepping up to ban TikTok, people were starting to move to other Chinese social media platforms. For example, at the time, people were moving to Xiaohongshu, which is a Chinese social media platform. Not even owned by a Chinese company. It was exclusively in Mandarin for the entire thing. So keep that in mind. People were moving to those kind of platforms, and we're not talking about a small group of people. We're talking about a really large flock. So as this occurs, and then a Chinese company just so happens to drop the bombshell that is DeepSeek, and it's better than ChatGPT in every other way, and it's free, people obviously went ahead and just I think it was a right time and right place kind of situation. But that's just me. So I don't know if they're going to replicate the magnitude that DeepSeek was because of the timing of it, but it's interesting. We'll see. Now, one thing I do think is kind of interesting here is that Baidu has always been very supportive of its proprietary business model and was vocal against open source. But disruptors like DeepSeek have proven that open source models can be as competitive and reliable as proprietary ones. So if Baidu is making the decision to open source it, it could be a very important decision for the global AI race in general. As this article points out, this might go to show that the future of AI might be open source models, because some of them are performing better than others. Now, open source in this context doesn't mean completely open source. A lot of these models aren't under a license like the MIT license, where it's completely free to use, you can use it for whatever. No. A lot of these are under the license of, we'll give you the model, you can run it on your own hardware. However, if you are using it for anything other than hobbyist usage, you are going to need to pay us money. And how they'll enforce that is with license audits and stuff like that. So if you're using it in your big company, you are going to have to pay, Baidu or DeepSeek or whoever a decent chunk of money. That's how Meta has made some of their money with their large language models, is they put it under a specific license and basically say, hey, if you're doing X, Y, and Z with it, pay us. So that's kind of how they're doing things like this. And this does put pressure on closed providers like OpenAI and Anthropic to basically go ahead and figure out a way of justifying premium pricing and gated APIs and stuff like that. So it's kind of a battle between the open source world and the closed source world when it comes down to AI. And to be fair, China isn't the only one engaged in open source AI models. Meta is one of the companies in the U.S. that is an extreme proponent of making their models open source, not completely open source. It's probably better in this context to say something like source available, because open source implies that you can do anything you want with it. The answer to that is no, you can't. There's a difference between open source and it being on the public internet. I do think a lot of people get this misconception wrong. Open source implies that you get it and you can use it for basically whatever you want, almost no strings attached. Sometimes this will come with a clause saying that you need to contribute back if you make changes to the software or whatever it may be. So it's not like... Usually, open source implies that it's fair game for almost anything you want. Sometimes with a clause saying that you have to contribute back. But in this context, it's more like source available, which means that it's available to use and to download, but under much more restrictive conditions. You can't just use it for anything you want, and in most circumstances, if you're using it for a business purpose, you are going to need to pay some sum of money in order to actually use it. So that's something I do think needs to be kept in mind here. Now, one thing I will say is this could be interesting. I'm going to keep an eye on this, because if it actually is anything of any serious value, then this could be another big AI drop for China, and it could rattle the US AI market. It very well could. As to whether or not it will, though, that's iffy. That's a very iffy question. I'm not sure. It might, but time will tell. Let's give it a little while. Let's see what ends up happening here. That is about it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe. Take care of you guys, and remember to stay safe out there.